Bitcoin to rally soon. Paul Tudor Jones chooses Bitcoin and gold on today's show. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. My name is David. I'll be one of your co-hosts. And today, like every single weekday, coming at you live from our studio in the heart of Las Vegas, Nevada. Today is a very special show as we welcome back our friend, Robin Peter Klein. Robin, how you doing?
Why you gotta throw out all the freaking
Welcome back, bro.
all the names?
How you doing, man?
And my camera's all choppy, man.
Yeah. We can't make it
What
look
y'all
too
do to
good.
my camera when I was
We
gone, man?
can't make it look too good. See, I broke dress code today. See what I'm wearing? Anyways. Welcome back, man. How you feeling?
Oh man, yes. So it's been almost what, a month now? Yeah.
Damn.
Man,
Got a nice tan going on here.
be careful with the roast beef sandwich. It might take you out for a month if
Jeez. Careful with the roast beef.
if you pick the wrong place to eat at and they serve roast beef. Proceed with caution. So,
Do you remember your intro?
I remember the outro of the roast beef. But anyway, I am glad to be back. Hopefully I don't go back to the hospital. I was back for I was out of the hospital for a couple of days and then sent me right back. But anyways, enough about all that. I did miss doing the show here. Glad to be back. I know a lot of you reached out for support, so much love to all of you. Big shout out to Henderson Hospital, where I was shacked up for 3 weeks. Super great, super outgoing staff, very caring team of doctors, any of that. Anyways, a lot of fun there. Not fun actually, but it was a good time of reflection. Gave you time to do the show by yourself as well, but not only by yourself, but with our main man Forrest. So, Forrest, I'd like to extend a thank you for holding down the show while I was dealing with my roast beef issues. And yeah, how you doing, brother?
Doing well. Just glad to see you back. Very exciting. Yeah, doing well.
No, I
Always
figured-
happy to jump on Sin City Crypto whenever there's a need.
Yeah, Forrest, we loved having you on the show. We figured today is a reunion day, the three amigos here. So we're excited to have you guys. Before we get started on today's topics, let's thank our channel sponsors, Cam's Blue Wire Technology. If you run a business and you want to maximize your networking, IT, and your cybersecurity, and you just don't know how to yourself or don't have the time because, well, you're just too busy making money, you want to visit bluewiretech.com or pick up the phone and call them. They will help you with all your issues. Also, big thank you to Radix for sponsoring the channel as well. Top layer one DeFi in our space. We're excited for what's to come with Radix, their ecosystem, and their team and partnerships. And so we're excited to see how everything plays out. If you want to learn more about Radix or play in their sandbox, visit radixdlt.com. Click the link in the description of this video. Now, it's hard to find funny stuff on Twitter nowadays for obvious reasons. And I found one. You know, Rob, you've been a chef before. You know those meat.
Hold on. What's the chef? Always the chef, baby.
Okay, so
You know? Come on,
you used to make money being a chef before. Now you just do it because you're weird. Now, you know those saw cutters that cut the meat, right? The blade. What is it called? The where they had the butcher shops where they
Slicer.
they put
meat
the
slicer, yes.
meat. Yeah, well, if you don't have
No
one,
roast beef though, bro.
if you don't have
No
one,
roast beef, bro.
if you don't have one, all you got to do is go visit my friend here, and he'll help you slice all the meat that you could potentially need. The meat slicer, in case you can't afford one.
It's his feet.
It's Tony. Yeah.
No.
He uses nails to cut the meat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jeez.
I'm saying it's cheaper than buying a big saw thing, right?
He is a little.
Probably.
I'm sorry. And just like the Lamborghini, Robin, that I brought you in the hospital was not a coincidence. Was a coincidence. This also is a coincidence, seeing as you had a foodborne illness. Maybe I gotta put a little extra thought into.
Too soon, bro. Too soon, bro. Come on, man.
Speaking of funny, this might be great news, guys. Bull market's back. Why? Well, Jim Cramer had something to say about Bitcoin. Mr. Bitcoin.
I just can't get on I can't be in something where Mr. Bitcoin is about to go down big. I just
Mr.
can't get
Bitcoin about to go down big. Robin, is the bull market confirmed now?
Bull market is back, baby. It's a little delayed, but you know, it's back. Also, the shout outs are back as well.
Hmm.
I know David's dropped the ball on all the shout outs.
did,
First
he
of all, I did a big shout out to Ultimo Maya, 199 super chat. Said is this thing broken or I don't know. Anyway,
Sit
stop
on, sit
hating.
on.
And then we got Gizm, Era 3 TV, Lisa A, Ashley D, Delamont Man, Nando 44, Crypto A, Nabil K, and all set to all of you. Hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto.
Did you say-
If you're not familiar, if you just decided to watch the show in the last few weeks, I'll give love and shout outs to all the new-ish people. You get a few of them before we
it's
drop
funny.
you off the list.
We missed you at the convention, the NFT XLV convention, and we had a couple people come up and say, "Man, I'm in your chat all the time, but I keep getting introduced as the new people in the chat."
Until you were over here bugging me, and I see your name too much in the chat. You'll get some love, man.
Yeah.
Take it.
All right, guys. So we're gonna talk about Sam Bankman-Fried, Caroline Ellison, just the stuff she was talking about, what they were doing. Apparently, they were given orders to keep Bitcoin under 20K by manipulating the price. We're gonna talk about that. We're also gonna talk about a new ChatGPT integration with CoinMarketCap. Also, Paul Tudor Jones is saying that with everything going on globally, if we hit a recession and things get worse, then Bitcoin might be a flight to safety alongside gold. But first, I want to show this video of David Marcus, who was one of the co-founders of PayPal, talk about Bitcoin and how he thinks Mark Zuckerberg is actually a Bitcoiner. So let's watch this video.
And theorize a lot about the experience we've had, but having lived it has changed my worldview and my appreciation in such a way that now I have this unshakable conviction that Bitcoin is the only form of neutral internet money there will ever be. And it's one thing saying it because you have laser shooting from your eyes. It's another coming to that conclusion after having tried for the right reasons, I believe for the right reasons, to build a technology that would scale to billions of people and that could provide a stable form of digital money that would travel on this new scalable payment system. And then you come to the realization that actually private companies issuing a new unit of account of anything that has that kind of distribution is problematic.
You might not want to answer this, but is Zuck is he a Bitcoiner?
Yeah. He appreciates Bitcoin, but yeah, I think there was
You buy that? Zuckerberg being a Bitcoiner, seeing as his company aggregates data, spies on people.
I
censors
think
people.
I think he realizes the potential for Bitcoin. I just don't think it fits into his business model. I mean, he had the DM he was supposed to launch. That got roadblocked, or they pulled the emergency brake on that one. Their entire development team left and went for other crypto projects. And so, does he believe in it? Yeah. Is Bitcoin part of his business model moving forward? I don't think so. I think he's all in on the metaverse. And that's not the metaverse that we frequently talk about as far as NFTs and ownership. I think it's more of a VR immersive world. But I think he does believe in Bitcoin. I think he believes in crypto. I wouldn't put the two together with his publicly traded company because, hey, he tried it once and he got a lot of pushback on it.
Forrest, you said last week that Zuckerberg is your favorite evil billionaire. So I guess I'll ask you the same
Of the
question.
evil billionaires, I do think he might be my favorite, but he is evil.
What are your thoughts on that? You think Zuck is actually a and also what does it say? Is it a big deal? I know for us we could care less, right? But for the average investor, the mainstream person who just follows mainstream media narratives, that doesn't take the time to research and only hears a negative about Bitcoin, to hear all these people, David Marcus, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Jack Dorsey, be fans of Bitcoin. Does that make an impact in any way, or is it kind of overblown?
Yeah, I think it makes an impact. And the thing I'll say about Mark Zuckerberg is, yeah, you can say a lot of bad things about him. But as far as like character traits go, or maybe not character traits, but just traits, personal traits of his, like he is extraordinarily forward thinking, right? He built Facebook, which was like a completely revolutionary concept at the time. Social networking was just like at the cusp. He was part of that revolution. And now he's trying to usher in like these wearable metaverse technology with the glasses and the goggles. Like he is very, very forward thinking. Now, is he going to be right all the time? And is the metaverse going to be like a major big thing? Maybe, maybe not. But I would like to think that he's probably forward thinking enough to see the writing on the wall with Bitcoin. And he's also somebody that has a vast amount of wealth. And when you have a vast amount of wealth, diversifying into various assets is probably pretty important. So I wouldn't be surprised if he owns a nice chunk of Bitcoin just to diversify all of the wealth that he's accumulated.
Speaking of wealth and us not being able to accumulate wealth, there was a potential reason for that, and we have this shocking revelation from Sam Bankman-Fried's trial as ex-girlfriend and ex-CEO of Alameda Research, Caroline Ellison.
Why he let her go, man? She was so
Testified.
hot, man.
Shut up. I missed you, bro. I missed you, bro.
I'm just saying, man. Sometimes the good one gets away from you, And he probably screwed her over. She got away. He's probably sad. And that's why she testified.
Yeah.
So.
And she apparently said Sam and Caroline conspired to keep Bitcoin under 20K by secretly selling the Bitcoin that belonged to customers. And in the actual transcript, she said that Sam said, anytime Bitcoin is over 20K, sell and get it under 20K. I'll start with you first, Rob. What are your thoughts? Are you surprised? And I've said this on this channel. I don't like, what would the all-time high have been for Bitcoin if we weren't seeing this type of manipulation? We didn't really get a double top like we did ever in Bitcoin's history, so to say. So close to each other as far as the topping out the market and the top of the bull market. But we did in the last one. What could it potentially have been? And are you surprised at this revelation here? What are your thoughts?
No. Well, price manipulation, not surprised. As far as the overall top, I don't know, man. I think that was more imploded with the Terra Luna. Also, you had Elon Musk. Let's not forget the Dogecoin SNL marked the top as well. So I just think the market was overheated. We had a situation where the money printer had slowed down. And so maybe without manipulation, the top would have came 2 weeks later. Maybe it would have been a couple $1,000s more. Maybe Bitcoin would have got to 72,000. But to sit here and think that without FTX manipulating the markets, which they did have a lot of trading volume, but it paled in comparison to Binance. And I just think that it might have varied a little bit, but to sit here and think we would have been at $150,000 Bitcoin, I just don't see it. Not through manipulation. At the end of the day, Bitcoin is a free market. The price can be moved. However, the free market is going to take advantage of price swings. And so if prices start to shoot up to $100,000, when realistically it probably shouldn't be there, there's going to be some smart money out there that's going to be dumping the markets, not just the exchanges. The same can be said on the back end. And so not surprised, but at this time, 20,000, that wasn't even that far off from the bottom, remember? I mean, the bottom was essentially 16,000. We were under 20,000 for a short period of time. And so when you look at it from that perspective, obviously they're shorting the market, dumping Bitcoin, making a profit on it. I think maybe their manipulation had really come full swing at the bottom of the bear market because they were trying to make up losses, right? During the height of the bull market, when Bitcoin was over 60,000, they probably didn't need to take on so much risk because there was so much money just flowing in and out of the exchanges. I think that when they were down and the chips were down, then they were looking to make a little bit more capital, and shorten the market was what they were doing.
Any thoughts on this, Forrest? Keep it under 20K.
Yeah, so I think kind of in a broader concept here, I do want to like draw attention to the fact that like you delineate between like Bitcoin, the technology is decentralized, but Bitcoin's price, like anything that trades on an open market, can be manipulated to some degree, right? We saw JP Morgan and big money come in and suppress silver prices for a very long time. They were spoofing the market. They had shorts, and they got fined over $1 billion for it. And I think that these quasi unregulated markets like Bitcoin and crypto are actually very attractive for certain entities like FTX and people that are willing to commit fraud to come in and manipulate markets, because it's not like manipulating an asset on the New York Stock Exchange. It's not as blatant. They're also a little bit smaller in size, and it's a little bit easier to manipulate. So I do think a lot of Bitcoin manipulation goes on. As far as it affecting the all-time high, I think that's a really, really difficult question with too many variables, because I think you could make the argument that maybe the all-time high could even have been a little bit lower if depending on them not, doing certain fraudulent things like we talked about the other day, where they were just messing. They minted a ton of USDT and like injected liquidity, and they're playing all these games. They had the fat finger where they sold at like $55,000 and they pushed it all the way down to $10,000. There's just all sorts of crazy things that were coming out of FTX that could have affected the price. As far as, to what extent and in which direction, I think is very difficult to say, to be quite honest. But I do think there's price manipulation going on. That being said, I think Bitcoin's decentralized. You just have to be wary of the centralized entities that build on top of these markets. And that's why I'm a big proponent of self-custody and decentralized exchanges.
Forrest, Robert Vermouth said, you hate Bitcoin. Is that
I do not hate Bitcoin. I have a thesis of diminishing returns, and I also don't I'm not bought into the Bitcoin maxi kind of religion, but I am bullish Bitcoin. Very bullish Bitcoin on a 1 to 2 year time frame.
Speaking of chats hating, Hindi says I'm looking skinny. Hey, I lost some weight, okay? Is it gonna be back in the gym? You better watch out. And then also to the new people here, Tube U82, Darren O, Anton P, Andrea, to all of you. Hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto.
You have a little bit more to share with Sam's trial here. So, Inner City Press been doing a really good job, literally word for word transcript. So that's who I've been following along with Tiffany Fung as far as to get updates on Sam's trial. So a couple things just real quick I want to share here. First, they were talking about bribing China because they had locked about $1 billion of their money. And so 150 million bucks was a bribe, to which Sam Bankman-Fried's lawyer were trying to get that, what is it called? Objection. Anyways, moving on to something that we currently haven't seen how it's going to unfold is Genesis. Okay. And so apparently Sam was trying to raise money from Mohammed bin Salman, the Saudi crown prince. This was back in, I believe, October or September of 2022, about a month and a half before FTX imploded by trying to give him shares of FTX, the company. Also, he was trying to buy Snapchat. Also, he was trying to buy Japanese government bonds. Apparently, he thought he was going to be president as well. But the one that was interesting to me was this Genesis thing. So apparently,
real quick,
go ahead.
Because I love to cut you off. If we had a presidential election, you got Sam Bankman-Fried or your boy Biden, Sleepy Joe. Which one you going with? Which one you going with, bro? Yeah. Sleepy Joe or Sam Bankman-Fried?
If I vote Sleepy Joe, can I pick the cabinet members?
No, you pick your vote. You're at the booth and you got SBF and you got Sleepy Joe and ice cream truck. What you going with?
Do I get a free ice cream?
No, you get to pick one. You vote one or the other. Which one are you going with?
Just pick one.
Yeah, that's a hard one. You got to go Joe, right? Yeah.
You hate crypto.
Really? Sam is not crypto. Forrest said he'd write in wait, can we write in a candidate?
How about the chat? Guys, Let me know. You're at the polling. You're at the poll here. You get to vote. Are you going Sleepy Joe, who has no progressive forward thinking in crypto or technology in general, or put a 1 in the chat. Put a 2 in the chat if you're gonna vote Sam Bankman-Fried, who is pro crypto, but also pro take all of your money. So
Well, our taxes went up, but actually nothing's changed. What's going on? Anyways, while you guys do that, apparently we're having Forrest, do you care to cooperate here on this answer?
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to go with Sam Bankman-Fried because of
Stop
the
it.
two. I think he's far less corrupt. I think he's way less corrupt than the alternative.
What the hell?
you know what? Good point, Forrest. 'Cause everybody in that damn in Congress is corrupt, anyways. So you might as well throw a corrupt guy in there that's pro crypto, right? Good point.
Wow. Okay. So apparently, Sam and Alameda and FTX knew that Genesis was in trouble. They were trying to raise money from them, and then they ended up trying to loan money to them. It was a complete nightmare. And so we have this from Cointelegraph. Caroline Ellison provided 7 alternative balance sheets hiding Alameda's exposure to FTX. She admitted to providing fudged numbers for review by Genesis. According to reports from the courtroom, Ellison claimed Bankman-Fried directed her to create alternative balance sheets on Alameda's use of crypto exchange FTX's funds. She reportedly testified that she had provided 7 spreadsheets, one of which Sam presented to Genesis. The document did not reveal that Alameda had borrowed $10 billion from FTX. Sam said, quote, "Don't send the balance sheet to Genesis. We were borrowing $10 billion from FTX, and we had $5 billion in loans in our own executives and affiliated entities. We thought Genesis might share the info." Also, guys, here we have the courtroom drawing of Caroline. What the hell is that?
Is a Van Gogh. Nature.
It does-
Nature.
It's a
Van
what?
Gogh. Is a Van Gogh.
Yo,
Oh, here we go. I hear the computer keys clicking.
oh man, yeah, this is I got it right here. Hold on. Rocco, can you do a side by side on for me here? All right, hold on.
God.
Oh, hold on.
First thing I thought was a puffer fish before it puffs up. You know, they got the.
I can see your laptop.
Yeah, I don't think you're connected. Well, either way, while you're doing that, Forrest, I guess you have any thoughts on this? I mean, I feel like I don't know.
I mean, more of the same. They stole customer funds, and I hope they all go to prison.
It's like at some point, like what you just got to give the same opinion over and over again. So I just did you get it figured out,
No,
or should I?
that's
Yeah. Take a look. What you got, it, Rocco? Okay, 1 minute to put next to each other. Let me know what you guys think here. We got
So, anyways, what are your thoughts on this whole Genesis thing and how they were providing different balance sheets? Oh God.
once again, not surprised in the slightest when it comes to the fraud there. We all knew. We all knew it was coming. We all knew it was there. We've been talking about it the whole time. And I mean, now that's coming out in court. Does this stand well? Does this bode well for SBF as far as him beating the charges? No, I mean, I guess I'm not surprised as evidence is coming out, but
I guess for me, it's more intriguing because Genesis was implied in the testimony. And we know what's going on with Genesis, DCG, Barry Silbert. Oh, my God. Okay.
got it ready.
Just
Okay.
show it, 'cause
Let me know. 1 for left, 2 for right. Yeah, there it is. All right. I found it. I was trying to figure out who she looked like. You put a wig on the right, it is definitely spot on. I'm just letting you know right now. Am I right or am I right? 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 Tell me.
You're right.
It was a Van Gogh.
Oh, man.
Called the Scream.
Rob, it's nice to have you back, man. All right. Okay. Let's move on to some. Monthly cost of a new mortgage is now 42% of the U.S. median household income, which is 10% higher than the eve of the '08 financial crisis. Look at this. This is going back to 1990. Over 40% of people's income is being spent on a mortgage. Saw it as low as almost 15%. This was back in 2011. Rob, you got any thoughts on this? We haven't really talked to you about macro in a while.
What is this chart again?
The percentage of people's median income that is spent on their mortgage.
Yes.
Almost 50% of what people make is spent on just somewhere to live.
Yeah, that's but this has been going up since I think like the 30s, right? I
mean, this is going back to 1990s.
I know this
right?
chart goes to, but I remember I saw another chart. It was going back to the 30s, and this is because initially that was the start of the American dream, right? It was like 30s and then the 40s, 50s, whatever it was, where you had the travel. There, I remember there was the book that you were required to read in high school. I forget what it was called, but anyways,
a lot of books you were required.
Yeah. Anyways, there was a store where this guy was a traveling salesman. This dude had a house, a wife, kids, and he was a traveling salesman. He would just go to different businesses and sell God knows what, and he could afford a mortgage, and the wife could stay at home. Now, you know, a car and all that. And that day, those times are broken, right? And this is only going to get worse because it's like having a credit card, right? Where all of a sudden you're paying off your credit card with new credit cards, and these interest rates are compounding, and you're left on the hook to pay back more and more every month. And that's why we're in this environment, because the government is printing. You're debasing our money. We only collect so much revenue with taxes, and then we're just in a situation where we're getting out of control with inflation. And so this, not surprising, from 2020 is when we started printing like madmen. We were airdropping $1,600 checks every 3 months, and now we see money is debased to a point where 50% of your income goes to a house.
Well, what we're seeing,
you can't get an apartment. This is mortgage. Mortgages are cheaper generally than the rent. Now I know it might have balanced out here recently, but the scary thing is that if you live in a regular metropolitan city and you want to get a 1-bedroom apartment, that's like $2,000, bro. That's like $2,000. Go to any major city, try to get an apartment. You're in $2,000. Maybe you find one for $1,800, but after the deposit and all of that and all of the extra fees, and you're in $2,000. Medium salary for American is still shy of $60,000.
$52K.
And so you can't make it on your own. And so exit the system and get some damn Bitcoin. Exit the system, hedge your bets, get into crypto. Because if you just stay still and you try to put your money into a savings account, you ain't saving anything. All you're doing is putting it into a debasement account.
The crazy thing is we're seeing more mortgage companies and banks now offer 40, 50-year mortgages. On top of that, more are allowing people to put their down payment on a credit card. That's it's not going to be bad. Forrest, any thoughts on this before I move on?
Yeah, I mean, so if you look at the average American household's income as like a pie, imagine a pie, and that it used to be back in 2012. It looks like the piece of the pie that was going towards your house was a 16% slice, 17, between 15 and 20%, and for a while it was around 20%, and now it's up above 40%. Well, if this piece of the pie is growing in terms of the amount of income that you have per month going towards various things, everything else has to shrink. Well, what are the other pieces of the pie? Well, one is food and general other expenses, energy expenses, your car. What about your investments? What about the expendable income that you have to put into the S&P 500, into stocks, into crypto, into Bitcoin, into commodities, whatever it is that you invest in? By virtue of this piece getting so large, it's crowding out all the other pieces, including the amount of money that's going into investments. It's why I think we very likely eventually see a real estate correction and a real estate crash. But I also think it's why we're seeing declines in less of a bull market, among many other reasons. More bearish price action in a lot of things like the S&P 500 and in crypto. People just don't have the money to go and gamble on alts like they did 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when this was a much smaller piece
Forrest,
of the pie.
let me stop you right there. As my good friend Zach Galifianakis said in Hangover, it's not gambling if you know you're going to win. All I'm saying. All right, let's move on.
I want to interrupt this broadcast once again to say, have you missed the like button? Because if you have, I've also missed the fact that you haven't hit the like button. And we are at 82 likes, less than 50% ratio. That means 1 out of every 2 viewers here does not like the show, or at least has not validated their likeness for the show by hitting the like button. But you know who did validate that thesis was Discover Crypto. They're in the house. They also they're in the house, and they also said hit the like button. So
I got yellow
we're
teeth.
glad to have you guys over here as
Hold
well.
on, Rocco, put that back. What's up with his yellow teeth right here, dude? Brush your teeth, bro. Damn.
So, big shout out. We got some new people here. Crypto Hands, Beat Frank Crypto, T. Eller, Rudy Lane, J Daz. I know you've been here before, but I just want to say what's up. Also, Dalia Davis, yeah, the Fiscal Q, and to all of you, hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto.
TFQ. Okay. All right. So yesterday we told you Monday we told you watch out for PPI numbers today, and while we have them here, looks like 2% is maybe out the window. September PPI inflation unexpectedly rises to 2.2, above the 1.6 expectations. Core PPI rose to 2.7, above expectations of 2.3. This is the first jump in core PPI, which is the producer price index, since April of 2022. It is now up for 3 consecutive months. What does the Fed do now? Let's check the CME. 88.8% believe we are still going to stay steady at the 525 to 550 range, which is 5.25 to 5.5% interest rate range. We do have the FOMC minutes. Either they're already out or they're coming out today. And then we have CPI numbers, I believe tomorrow. I could be wrong. I feel like I'm wrong. Tomorrow or Friday. But I'll start with you. I'll start with you first, Forrest. PPI, we talked about inflation via Truflation, but PPI typically gives us insight on whether we're going to see CPI go up because, well, if producers are paying more for products, we're going to pay more for the end product. Any thoughts or anything you want to add to these numbers? Do you think that 2%, the idea of we're getting back 2% is completely gone?
Yeah, tough question. I think getting back to 2% is going to be difficult. I'm not terribly concerned about these particular rises. I believe they're month over month numbers, right? So I'm not horrendously concerned about it. At the end of the day, I think the Fed will very likely have to pivot sooner rather than later. But I think there's the reason they end up pivoting, in my opinion, is probably going to become more and more likely that there's some massive I don't want to say collapse, but massive event of something breaking sooner or later. The events of the last several days as they continue to unfold, and you look at how much money, how much our debt is rising, and how much the cost to service that debt, and the payments on our national debt is continuing to increase. And then you have all these aid packages going out to various countries, and I'll stay away from the political side of things, but the end of a civilization is frequently accompanied by two things: rapid printing of money and expansion of debt, as well as wars, fighting wars, and stressing the economy and resources that way as well. So I think they do eventually have to pivot, probably sooner than what is currently priced in, and when they rev up the money printer, it's back to inflation. War is very, very inflationary, and the involvement, the U.S.'s involvement or the level, the degree to which they are going to get involved, I think is still very much uncertain and very much up in the air. So it's tough to sit and pick a specific date as to when they end up pivoting, but I think we are the odds of something breaking, that causes them to pivot are increasing day by day, especially as the last week's events have started to unfold.
Rob, are you worried about the trend we're seeing? 3 consecutive months on the PPI going up, 2 consecutive months on headline and CPI going up. Is 3% the new 2% as far as the Fed's target rate? And what are your thoughts on how it's going to affect crypto?
I think we're in an environment where the Fed is not there. They don't want to raise rates. And I think if they can keep it at 3%, still beat the drum for the 2% like they're trying to get there, that gives them just cause to keep the rates where they're at without cutting. And also with time and as you're in a certain spot, as we're in 3%, let's just say we're at 3% for 2 years, right? If all of a sudden it shoots up to 4 and comes back down to 3%, you're like, oh, we're back.
That's what I'm saying. Is 3% the new 2%?
Yeah, but here's the thing. I think it will be. I don't think it is there yet. But give it another 6 months. If we're at 3% for another 6 months, then yeah, absolutely, it will become the new norm. And
isn't that insane? It's normal to lose 3% of your purchasing power every single year.
And that's the headline number. And here's the thing, like you can go back and you can back test those numbers, and they've historically always been short selling what the actual inflation is. And so it's realistically probably more 4 or 5%, right? And then that's across all blanket assets, right? There's certain markets that are getting destroyed. I mean, I'm not even trying to be funny, but the commodities of livestock, both cattle, orange juice, and other grocery style commodities are going up by a factor of 2 on the prices. They're doubling in price, and maybe that has.
And now oil is going up,
and it's I was going to say it's probably a direct correlation to the price of gas, because livestock and produce need to move usually across the country. I'm sure that's one of the big factors to it. But as one sector rises and then takes a pause, and then another sector rises, takes a pause, maybe this 3%, maybe it's 4%, but the big headline numbers like mortgages are suppressing the actual number. Anyways, it's all a numbers game, man. And they pick and choose what they want to put into their CPI numbers. And that's the reason we got this damn channel, man. That's the reason we're doing this, because the financial system, the monetary system is so broken that we want to talk crypto, but yet we're just talking about
oranges.
We're talking about oranges, man. We're talking about livestock. Because it's hard to live, right? We're talking about the price of homes. We're talking about the price of basic commodities that you put in your fridge, and you're getting priced out of it. And it's because the system is broken. And you either leave the system and you freak out the people that run it to a point that they are forced to change. They're saying, hey, if we don't fix or adjust what we're doing here, everybody's going to leave, go to crypto or to something else. Or you just protect your purchasing power, and as an individual, you end up winning in the long term because you exit the broke-ass system that we have.
One positive I see is the price of barbecue sauces remained steady.
Oh, it hasn't? Yeah, that's because there's nothing in there besides corn syrup, food coloring, and
there's ketchup.
Hey, I want to pull this up though, real quick. Interesting. Our thumbnails about bull markets. Well, look at this. You have, what I notice here is that the bear market's extending every year, right? Longer bear market. But the accumulation is kind of right in the same range, but the bull market's shortening. Huh? And also, you're getting a less drawdown on the bear market.
That
So-
is an interesting.
But
one.
yeah, I feel like we're right around the corner, man. We're over here talking doom and gloom, and what country is going to get bombed next, or whatever the hell's going on. And at the end of the day, if you're thinking about crypto, we're in a good spot. The halving's right around the corner. We've been in this accumulation zone, if you can see here on this yellow. Which means, what does accumulation mean? That means you, as the viewer, should be accumulating. This is the best time to buy. There's not tons of volatility. You don't have to worry about buying Bitcoin right now and it dumping down to 10,000. At this point, you can comfortably get a good entry price. And that's on all crypto assets, essentially. All coins are on sale. Hey, you're in the right spot. Hit the like button. Thank you.
Speaking of being in the right spot right now is to be on CoinMarketCap. Robin, would you like to tell us where the price of our cryptocurrencies are? I know Bitcoin's been dumping.
Now, Bitcoin is dumping as hard as I did after that roast beef sandwich. 26,600, down $1,000 from where it was yesterday.
Do you think the roast beef was cut by that guy with the foot?
You just now thought of that? We were joking about it, anyways. 26.6, and so we've been as high as 28,000 as of recently, but a little pullback. This is on the 1 week, it's kind of a big drawdown, right? It's pretty significant. We lost some of the gains that we were super excited about earlier this week, and even 2 weeks ago. But
any new you spent a lot of time in a hospital bed. Any new patterns come to light?
No,
you didn't dream of any?
No,
nothing. Okay. Forrest, can we take a look at a BTC chart? What are some levels to look out for? And if we continue to dump, where should we meet some support?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me go over to my Bitcoin chart. So you can see I kind of have this range highlighted. Earlier was kind of live streaming as this trend line was breaking today, and we're kind of talking about how once this thing breaks, it's very likely going back down to its next support level, which it has. It's kind of tagged 26.5. That was the target. Get rid of that right there. So 26.5, it hasn't quite gotten there yet, but that's a 5x short margin pressure level. That's where you're going to see some shorts starting to leave the market a little bit. So far right now, all we've done is we've rotated that back down to the bottom of this range. We've seen this range hit in these support and resistance clusters that I've got mapped out here. They with Bitcoin, they're not super tight clusters. So you get like a lot of choppiness versus if you had all of these like bunched up in one very clean area, like we do, for example, at 31K. Like 31K, you've got like 4 or 5 levels right here, all in one spot, which made this really strong resistance and much easier to trade. But right now we've got all this choppiness where we're just hanging out in this resistance cluster for a while. Now we're just moving back down to the bottom of the range. We do have some support where we've held it before and where we've held prior resistance. So we are moving into a support region. But I've long joked since we had this big liquidation event. I said, CZ has the Bitcoin pricing algorithm dialed in to 26K. That's where we have so much volume. That's where we just previously held support, and it's where we put in just a ton of sideways support and resistance volume over here. If I were to throw on a volume profile, right, you'd see 26K be the point of control, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if we take another trip all the way back down to 26K. Now, then the question is, do we hold it and turn back up and rotate back up to the top of our range? Or do we continue to dump off into all of this support again and kind of retest 25K? 25K, if we zoom out, and I'll actually zoom out to a cleaner chart so it just becomes a little bit more clear. And TradingView is being a little bit slow here. But 25K right here is, and I'll go out to the daily right there. 25K is our prior resistance, and it's the range high, or in this case, the range low if we revisit from above, right? And our range high that we've just taken a trip from is around 31K, right? So right now, from just a very basic perspective, is we are just trading in a range between 25 and 31K. We've come up and we've tagged 28K, and hopefully we hold support between 26 and 26.5. But if we don't, the level that you need to pay attention to is 25. If we breach 25, and re-enter into and get acceptance below 25, that is bearish. Now, a common pattern that you will see that precedes large moves upwards is holding a support level. Trading view being super slow here, holding a support level, right? And then coming back down and running those lows and then revalidating, right? Getting a capitulation, right, below back into our range, but then getting rejected and pushed back up above 25K would be extremely bullish. And then I would expect a rotation back up to the top of the range. We'll see if we even get there. 26K, strong support. That's the level we've been kind of dialed into for a while. If we, again, I'll reiterate, if we start hanging out below 25K for too long, we could have some spillage down to, some lower levels. We'll take them one day at a time, maybe, 23, 24K, have some support levels, but that's the basic plan. That's the basic structure of what we're looking at here.
Awesome, Forrest. Thank you so much for that. I do want to just briefly highlight some of the top 100 alts and where they're at. We have some of the biggest losers: Tezos, Thorchain, IOTA, Trust Wallet Token. Stacks is down almost 3%. Litecoin is down 3%. Some of the greens: Ocean Protocol, Rollbit, Caspa up 1%. If we zoom out to the week, a lot of red. Zoom out to the month, a little bit better, a little green. Zoom out to the hour. Looks like we're starting to turn, guys. Biggest leaders being XRD and Ocean Protocol, up almost 2% for both of them. So, exciting times. Good time to DCAN, guys. Good time to DCAN. All right, let's move on to this. Billionaire hedge fund manager Paul Tudor Jones picks Bitcoin over stocks. Bitcoin is still down 13% versus its year-to-date high, but Paul Tudor Jones remains bullish as ever on the world's largest cryptocurrency. The billionaire hedge fund manager is constructive on Bitcoin primarily because he sees a recession ahead. If you don't know who Paul Tudor Jones is, he started talking about Bitcoin back in 2020. Apparently, he had bought some. This is one of the most successful hedge fund managers to ever walk the face of planet Earth. And so this is what he said. I think Bitcoin and gold take on a larger percentage of your portfolio than historically they would because of a challenging political time in the U.S. and geopolitical situation. Bitcoin has a history of performing well in the midst of political uncertainty, be it related to the Ukraine war or the recent elections in Turkey. Robin, I talk about this. I talk about this all the time, right? About a narrative shift.
You put barbecue sauce in your turkey?
No. Actually, no. I don't. I talk about this all the time. The day that we're going to see a narrative shift of Bitcoin being this risk on, too volatile, to being a flight to safety, whether it's banks crashing, whether it's war happening, whether it's currency debasement. Do you think Paul Tudor Jones is onto something? Do you think if there is a world war or things get worse on a global scale, if inflation remains high, if governments start to, I don't want to say collapse, but start to face some issues, do you agree with Paul Tudor Jones that we're probably going to see a flight to safety?
We're seeing it right now in real time.
So then why is
we saw the pound was slipping against the dollar. There was a lot of uncertainty. Remember, Israel has a lot of financial power, and there was a lot of money pouring into the dollar as a safe haven currency. Now, let's just think what would happen if the dollar or the United States was on shaky ground. Where are you going to go then, right? Because if foreign currencies are moving into the dollar to protect themselves from financial calamity, where is the people that hold dollars going to protect their assets if there's financial calamity here with the States? Not to mention, you got aircraft carriers pulling up God knows where, all kinds of tensions and wars by proxy and all this crap going on. Then you got Taiwan doing its thing. I would be very careful securing your lifelong income, your savings,
net worth,
your net worth in the dollar, especially in this era. This is what we're talking about. And I think that there's going to be a wake up call at some point, probably going to be some kind of black swan event that shakes things up. Maybe it's a banking collapse. Maybe it's a war. Maybe it's a credit collapse. I don't know. But at some point, things are going to start breaking. And if it's with the dollar, if it's with our government, where are people going to fly to? It's got to be commodities. It's got to be commodities. There's no other place, right? You can't go to a foreign currency because foreign currencies are going up to the dollar. So where are the people that are holding dollars going to go? They got to go to commodities. There's really no other place.
They used to go to U.S. Treasuries, but those are considered.
Yeah, exactly. But U.S. Treasuries. So if you're trying to leave the U.S. financial system to protect your wealth, you gotta go commodities. There's no other place. And Bitcoin is that. Everyone agrees. Gary Gensler says it's commodity. And so even if it's a 0.5% of the commodity ecosystem is Bitcoin or crypto, then that's still a big percentage when you factor in the piece of the pie. But maybe it's more. Maybe it's 5%. Maybe people are like, hey, man, you know what? There's global catastrophes going on. I need to be able to move my commodities easily, and I don't want anybody to custody it. I don't want to buy a house. I don't want to buy real estate. I don't want to buy gold where it's sitting in a vault or someone else is holding it or it's a paper version. Or they're like, hey, I can just buy a commodity and then move it around my damn self as long as I have connection to the internet. So it makes sense. And so anyways, there's going to be a flight from the dollar at some point, and it's going to go to commodities. And I think Bitcoin is well respected enough, and it makes so much sense for people in war-torn areas to have something that's easily movable and not confiscatable.
Forrest, do you agree with Robin? Do you agree with this sentiment, or do you have another take?
So, I mean, there's kind of two different markets here. If you segment it, like you have the people that are affected by, catastrophe or in a war-torn area that this is potentially something that is extraordinarily useful for, whether it's Bitcoin or Monero or whatever. It'll probably be Bitcoin, right? But then at a grander scale, at a global scale, and you talk about people that are extremely wealthy, when the flight to risk off for them, I think looks a lot different than it does for a segment of a certain segment of the market that may be heavily affected and actually like need to use Bitcoin. Like if you think about somebody that has a large amount of wealth and they're looking to protect it, if inflation is still at 3%, 4%, but you can get short-term bonds in like 3-month bonds. And they're not somebody who's at risk of running out of money anytime soon. They're wealthy, they're fine, and they're just trying to de-risk off and preserve wealth. If inflation is 3 to 4%, and you can get short-term bonds, 3-month notes for 4 or 5%, and still actually outpace inflation with U.S. Treasuries, then for the foreseeable future, I think actually U.S. Treasuries are probably the risk-off rotation. And then once that counteracts, and go ahead.
But okay, but I know what you're saying. But what about the people that don't want any exposure to the U.S. and that's out of the question, right? Because I think that's kind of the argument we're having here. Is I completely agree with you, and this was the case for decades, right? For decades. Beginning from like 73, when we got off the gold standard, when the petrodollar was introduced, people were hoarding U.S. Treasuries as a safe haven asset, as a flight to safety. Especially now, it even looks more appealing, like you mentioned, that the inflation rate is low. But if I don't want exposure to U.S. government, U.S. policy, where else should I? Where else am I going to go?
To just even stack on that, what happens if inflation, and I know it's hard to wrap your head around it, but what happens if inflation is higher than a short-term bond? I mean, what if inflation is 20%? And I know it sounds crazy, but we were at damn near 10%, right? Were we over 10% or was it
9.1?
We were 9.1. Realistically, it was probably like 12%. And so if we're in an environment where you got 20% inflation stacking annualized and people are fleeing the dollar, inflation's getting even worse. I mean, is it even worth picking up a treasury bond? Because, I mean, I doubt the yields are going to be over 30. And this is that doom and gloom scenario. I actually agree with you, Forrest. And in the short term, the next 3 to 6 years, the smart money is going to be in T-bills. It makes sense. Like, why even hold a commodity if you're going to get 6% return on a 90-day or a 1 year or 2 year? I mean, that's just easy money, and you're battling inflation. If inflation's at 3%, this is a no-brainer. But if all poo-poo hits the fan, then and you got hyperinflation for some reason, I think it's commodities.
No, Forrest. What are your thoughts there?
I mean, yeah, I mean, like in the short term, like right now, like if you look at the market currently right now, like you're actually getting paid 5% to be sidelined in very, very uncertain times. I'm like, as of, the last 3, 4, 5 days, I've become very much increasingly worried about a COVID level collapse scenario where markets just completely fall out, and then the Fed has to turn on the printer, and we get just like a mirror scenario of what happened with COVID. And if that does happen, I do think that Bitcoin gets flushed with it. Now, whether the narrative shifts after a flush and it bounces back harder than anything, I could absolutely see that, where people shift to Bitcoin, similar to like we saw a really big Bitcoin run after COVID. But I do think if things get really scary, and I think fear is I mean, you've got some really, really bad things developing even just today with the situation over there. If we do see a black swan event, I do, and 45% or whatever of people's income is already going to their house, and people get really, really, really scared. I think you're going to have a lot of people that maybe either become forced sellers and have to sell their Bitcoin or have to sell crypto, or they just get really, really scared and make an emotional decision. In which case, I do think if we get a black swan event, that Bitcoin will not be precluded from that. But if they turn the money printer back on after that black swan event, then Bitcoin probably does. And this is, I'm speculating here, I could be wrong. Then I would imagine that Bitcoin probably does have an extremely strong narrative post that event, and it bounces back harder than anything. I could absolutely see that. But I think if things get really, really nasty in the short term, I think people panic and people still pay their mortgages in dollars. That's the reality of the world we currently live in. It may be different in the future, but if people have to pay their cars, they have to pay their mortgages. I've said this before, like at the end of the day, they have to have dollars. And if they're crunched for income, they'll sell whatever they have to not lose their house. I know a lot of people say, "I'll never sell their Bitcoin." They never sell until they get in an unfortunate situation, and they might have to. And I pray that nobody is faced with that situation. But I do think the economy and the markets have gotten increasingly weak, and they are vulnerable to some sort of a black swan event. And I do think that Bitcoin would bounce back harder, but I don't think it would be excluded from any sort of flush, even with the SVB collapse. Perfect example. It went down, and then we had a huge V-shaped recovery, and it rallied to new highs. But as that situation was developing, you did get a Bitcoin flush.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. I do think that narrative is going to come around sooner than later. And well, let's put it to you this way. You don't want to be left bagless when that does happen. Forrest, we just wanted to thank you so much again for helping us out over the past 3-4 weeks. It's been a joy having you on. We love having you on this channel. You are a part of Sin City Crypto. And so thank you there, my friend. If people want more Forrest, where should they find? What happened? Did you rug Forrest?
Wrong button.
Damn, Rocco
Wrong
just
button.
rugged you, bro.
Sorry.
He's being jealous of our friendship
Sistine
here.
research. Yeah, I mean, I think you guys have been super welcoming, even from the start of this channel, very early on. This has been coming on here pretty much weekly for I don't know. It feels like going on a year and a half, well over a year now. You guys have something really, really special over here. You guys don't shy away from debate. You let it get heated, and I like when it gets heated. And I think that's what people want to see. They want to hear some different opinions, and you guys are developing a phenomenal audience here and a phenomenal product. I really, truly have said this for a while. I'm extremely bullish on Sin City Crypto. I think you guys have the best news and infotainment product in the market for YouTube. And I think you guys are going to be one of the top YouTube channels. I think you already are in terms of quality, right? But I think that in terms of the numbers and the viewership and the subscribers and some of those metrics, Sin City Crypto is only going to grow from here, and it will be established as one of the most well-known and well-respected channels in all of crypto on all of YouTube. So very, very excited and thankful that you guys have allowed me to be a part of it to some degree.
We appreciate that, man. And Forrest has been joining us since we were sub 1,000 subscribers. So it's been a long time. We love having him on. We love his insight. Guys, if you want more Forrest, go subscribe to his YouTube channel, Sistine Research. We do have it pinned in the comment section. Also, if you want his research hub, access to his indicators, access to his Discord, puts out some really in-depth, step-by-step research. Absolutely amazing. I have the privilege of Forrest adding me to the research hub, and I'm telling you guys, every time I get that notification in my inbox, the first thing I open up and read. Some really good stuff. So if you want to do that and you want to support the channel as well, there is an affiliate link in the description of this video. Also, big thank you to our channel sponsors, Cam's Blue Wire Technology. If you want to learn how they can help your business with cybersecurity and networking, visit bluewiretech.com. Also, big thank you to Radix for sponsoring the channel as well. So we're excited to see what Radix is going to do for DeFi in our space. And so if you want to learn more about the Radix protocol and their ecosystem, visit radixclt.com. Also, go follow us on Twitter at SinCityCrypto1. And while you're there, follow Forrest on Twitter at Sistine Research. And so, Rob, I will leave it to you to send us out of here, my friend. It's good to have you back. How do you feeling, man? You excited for tomorrow?
I am. Today I didn't get to say we package up the old, boring, and stale information, repackage it up in a fun and sexy way.
Thank you.
Hey, Robert, you want to do the finger tornado?
Yeah, why don't you tornado side here, bro?
Ain't tornado and nothing.
What do you mean? Come on, man.
Absolutely not. We got some new people. Tornado T-Tube.
There you go. If that's not a sign.
So
I don't
there
know what
you
it is.
go. Also, Enrique Suave and Tompi, Nicole Minnis, and Shake and Bake. So to all of you, all adios.
Run it. Run it. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. It was a pleasure to spend this Wednesday afternoon, morning, evening with you. We hope you come back tomorrow, same place, same time. On behalf of all of us here at Sin City Crypto, we love you guys. See you tomorrow. Peace.
Crypto. Everybody know we here for entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I split the game, but they gave it. Name the coin, it's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy the dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming, hola, till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya, to the moon and to the solar. Won't I? Don't be late.